is Rob Tebbutt from Behind the Gloves in association with Fresco Box. I'm delighted to be joined once again by Frank Warren. How are you, Frank?
I'm fine. You good, Rob?
I'm very well, thank you. Nice to see you again.
And you, mate?
How you been keeping?
Yeah, okay. I had an operation on my back a couple of weeks ago, but I'm all right now.
Okay, good to hear.
Yeah,
so we're here at the yard. Is it Avalanche or Avalon? Frenchman?
Avalon.
Avalon.
Tony Avalon.
Tony Avalon press conference. What do we see here today?
I think we've got a good fight for Anthony. He's a guy who's had it's about 37 fights, won 29 of them, drawn 2 of them. And I think it's a good step up for him. And I think he's somebody that hopefully he'll get some experience from and he'll get some rounds under his belt because that's what he needs.
He's been around with quite a lot of the light heavyweights in and around 168 and 175. Are you hoping that Avalon presents sort of a similar test that Sia Clotcher did in Yard's last fight?
Yeah, I mean, he did well when he fought against Sia Clotcher. When you look at it, he'd never been stopped before, and he'd done a job on the night, Anthony. But, Anthony's is quite focused. Obviously, as you know, this fight was postponed from a couple of weeks ago, but it's fight time on Saturday at York Hall, and I think we're going to see something special from Anthony.
What can we expect to see from him this year? Obviously, not overlooking Mr. Avalon, but it seems to me like domestic clashes and further beyond are potentially on the horizon this year.
We've been trying with a domestic clash that matters, and we've had no luck with that or any response from any of the other side. I think with Anthony, it's just getting more and more experience because he had a very, very limited experience as an amateur. He only had, I think it was 12 fights, so that's nothing, is it, for an amateur? And it's just getting more and more experience. That's what he needs. He's in the gym, constantly working with Tundi, who's done a fantastic job with him. It's just picking up rounds, picking up everything. Every time he gets in that ring, it's gaining more experience. The stuff that he never got as an amateur.
You mentioned domestic clashes. It seems to me like Frank Buglioni fight just makes sense. It's sort of like the right fight to make
to all of us, except for his connections, because they've never ever answered any of our emails and offers, so that is what it is. But the most important thing for Anthony to focus on is this one, and he's ranked, I think, about number 5 or 6 in the WBO now, and to get moved up the rankings, so that hopefully by the end of the year he's gained more experience and he's in a position where he's there or thereabouts, and hopefully ready to fight for a world title.
Something we alluded to in the press conference, heavyweight division is absolutely thriving at the top end.
Yeah.
Also, prospect-wise, we have Daniel Dubois on this card as well as Nathan Gorman. Talk to us a little bit about having those two on the card. Inevitably, people are going to compare and contrast their performances. Is that a plan of yours, Frank?
Well, I'd like to put both on and showcase them both. I've done a deal with Ricky for Nathan. Him and Daniel know each other very, very well. They sparred together, as they mentioned at the press conference, over 200 rounds. That was, I think it's about 2 years ago. So Daniel was just turned, I think, about 17 at the time when that was happening. They're men now, they've grown up, they're bigger, they're more mature, and they've learnt more, and they've obviously developed more physically, the both of them. When looking at Nathan, when I first see him to what he is now, he's a totally different fighter. He's very confident, very competent. And Daniel, I think, is phenomenal what he's done up to as yet. For a young guy to going into title fights, in his 2nd or 3rd fight as a heavyweight is unknown in this country. So again, it's about, with Daniel, getting more experience, similar to where Anthony is. He needs to get more experience. He's a young man, and he will mature more, he'll become stronger, and it's the same with Nathan. So eventually, they keep winning, their paths will cross, and I think we'll be into something which will be quite mouthwatering.
Saw Nick Webb on the Okoli Chamberlain undercard a few weeks ago. He said that he would like to fight Daniel Dubois, he would like to fight Nathan Gorman. I believe that was mandated for the English title, didn't happen. Is that still a fight that you're looking at for either guy?
Well, I don't know what happened with it, but I know that we made him an offer to fight Daniel, and then he was asking for the most ridiculous sums of money, which just wasn't financially viable. If he wants it, he's got to reduce his... Look, first of all, if he thinks he can beat Daniel, then he should grab the opportunity. We'll well pay him. If he beats him, then he's come through it, and he's got his scalp, which is a big scalp to get as far as beating one of the best prospects around for many years in the heavyweight division. But if it's about getting a payday, we're not in the pension business. We're about paying a fair purse for the fight. So it's there if he wants it, but he's got to be sensible with the money. The money he was asking for, it was ridiculous. It can never work.
Seems to me like in this modern day of social media and fights being made, generally sort of before their time, you have somebody like Daniel Dubois who isn't really willing to push the envelope from that standpoint. How is that for a promoter?
Look, all the fighters. Some fighters say a lot of things publicly, and privately it's a different thing. Daniel, what you see is what you get. But I've seen plenty of fighters, and fighters that we mentioned today, who say certain things, but when it comes down to the nitty-gritty, which is accepting the offer, signing the contract, or even returning phone calls, it's a different situation. What is a fighter? What is an eight fighter saying? I don't want to fight him because I think he'll beat me. You set up and say, I think I'll beat him. So you either say, I don't want to fight, or you price yourself out of it, and that's another way of saying, I don't want to fight.
Zelfa Barrett is in a very good fight on this card. Ronnie Clark, somebody who always comes to fight.
He's got to fight. Ronnie's a tough competitor. He seems very confident. He's up for it. He's never, as he said, and it's quite true, he's never ever turned down a fight against anybody. Zelfa's a young guy who I think has done extremely well. He's got some good grounding. He's got a good trainer and guide in his uncle Pat Barrett, former quality, good, world contender. This is a tough fight for him. But then again, if he's good as we think he is, then we expect him to prevail and come through. But it won't be easy, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing Zelfa put under some pressure. I'm looking at Zelfa, to answer some questions that maybe some people have.
So the IBF European title, is that the route that you're looking to take, Zelfa? As I understand it, the IBF is, I think it's vacant at the minute after
It's there, that title is vacant. We managed to grab it. We needed a label for it, so both the guys make weight and we get the fight on, and that's it. And it's an incentive for both the guys to, if they win this, they're going to get quite a high ranking. So it's another character dangle before the both of them.
As I mentioned in the press conference, the last time we saw Ronnie Clark in the ring, certainly I saw him at ringside, was against Martin J. Ward, who's now the European super featherweight champion. If Zelfa comes through, outperforms Martin J. Ward, is that a fight that you're looking at down the line, or is it going to be one of those cases again where politics unfortunately gets in the way?
Look, we're in the business of making the guys fight. Liam Williams fought Liam Smith. We made it happen. We make these fights happen. We put our guys in. I haven't got a problem with that, but it takes two to tango. We may want to make the fight, but it's where the fighters make it. Martin J. Ward's a good quality fighter. He's a very good boxer. He's a tough fighter to beat. If Zelfa comes through on this fight, hopefully we can make that fight, because it makes a lot of sense.
Just moving away from this card, I was in Manchester at the weekend at the Groves Eubank fight. I'd just like to gauge your opinions on how you feel that fight went. I'm sure you were watching.
I think it went exactly what I said in my column in the start. That Groves would be too big for him. His jab would control the fight. That Junior doesn't have a coach, and you can see that. He's got no plan B. He doesn't even have to get out of jail, big punch to get him out of problems. He's got a big heart. But unfortunately, I think that whole ship sailed with him. We've seen it so many times. We've heard so many fights that he wants. And he's going to beat the world according to his dad. One time he was going to kick the granny out of Golovkin. Can you imagine what Golovkin would have done with him on Saturday? For him, it's back to the drawing board. But before he gets to the drawing board, he needs to look at himself. He needs to look at himself in the mirror and say, am I capable of training myself, improving my performances, improving on the things that I do wrong? Am I capable of doing that on my own, not listening to any trainer and not being guided by anybody? Am I going to keep listening to my father's advice? Am I going to keep doing that? And he's not a boy, he's a man. Maybe Chris Eubank Jr. was 28 years of age now. There's a lot of questions to be answered. Have been answered, not for me to be answered. I've seen it for a long, long time, and you can see it as an accident waiting to happen.
Now you have an extensive experience, shall we say, with the Eubanks. Do you see, from what you've seen of them behind the scenes, do you see them being capable of making the necessary adjustments to move forward?
I don't see. You couldn't tell Chris Eubank Senior anything. It's just impossible. He's got his opinion. He's opinionated. and time his opinion's been proven wrong. Certainly with me it has. I mean, he fought on in his career on a number of my shows, fighting my fighters that I either were, I promoted or were managed by me, and he only managed to beat one of them. Joe Calzaghe beat him. Carl Thompson beat him twice. He got beat by Steve Collins. All those fighters were with me. His son got beat by Billy Joe Saunders. And I've been around the block a few times. I like to think, don't always get it right. Of course you make mistakes, and I'll be arrogant and stupid not to think I've got things wrong in the past. But as far as he's concerned, I've got it right every time. And as I say, from his point of view, from his son's point of view, they're just, the father has always said is a phony. He's got a phony accent. Everything about him is phony, and he's ruined that son of his. He's ruined it.
I know people say never, particularly in boxing, but could you see yourselves working with the Eubanks moving forward?
Well, I've got 2 fights for him that I'd like to make. I'd like to see him fight Tommy Langford, the fight he pulled out against, because he was terrified. He was, according to his father again, he was going to murder somebody, if you remember, or not murder, but he was worried about their health, the same as he's worried about George Groves' health. In fact, he should be worried about his son's health, certainly after that last fight, if he keeps being involved in it. And or Mark Heffron. Good fights for him. I think both those fighters beat him, from what I've seen.
Speaking of George Groves and Billy Joe Saunders, I was actually at the gym with Billy Joe on Monday in Sheffield, looking very well. You'll be pleased to hear.
Yeah, he's doing extremely well. He's got the bit between his teeth, and as I said earlier, he's found love for the game, and he's found desire, and he knows now there aren't any shortcuts, and hopefully that's going to translate into a win over Martin Murray.
I was actually stood next to Billy Joe when he was tweeting about fighting George Groves. That a fight you're looking at for the future?
I'd love it. George has injured his shoulder. I don't know how serious the injury is, but if they can't make, and understand that the date for this finals is immovable, so I understand. I don't know what the situation is, but whatever happens with that, him and Bill would be a big fight to make, and we'd love to do that fight.
Is that
at his weight? Bill would come up and do it his weight.
Is that a contingency plan though, if the Canelo or Golovkin fight doesn't happen?
Yeah, well, listen, if Canelo or Golovkin fight doesn't happen, we've got to find Bill a big fight, and that's one of the fights that we'd be looking at. It's a great fight for Bill.
I also saw Billy Joe Saunders and asked him about an interview that he did with your old pal Eddie Hearn. I don't know if you saw it.
I did. It was pointed out to me, yeah.
What did you make of them two sitting down?
I didn't mean, they were sitting down. It was a coincidence that they were there together. I think Bill said all he had to say, and I know Bill very well. He's been with me from day one. He's done extremely well. That's it. That's it. I'm not concerned about that. Bill's got this fight lined up. He's got to come through this fight, and then we're looking for the big one in the autumn. That's where we're at.
When I spoke to Eddie Hearn yesterday, he teased about potentially interest in Billy Joe Saunders moving forward.
Of course he's interested in. Why wouldn't he be interested in that? He's got a big problem at the moment, isn't he, with Anthony Joshua? That contract's expiring soon. And you look at most of these guys, they're old. How many fights they left him? Of course he's in there, and he'll be blowing sugar up his backside and telling him all he wants to hear. But Bill's a sensible guy. He's not stupid. He's made a lot of money. He's in a good position. He's won every fight we've put him into. We've protected him. We've looked after him in the bad times, and we're doing the same in the good times. So I don't particularly care what Eddie Hearn has to say, because at the end of the day, he's got his own problem. He's got that massive problem now with Stubhub that he's got to reveal when tickets from April onwards, when tickets go on the secondary market. The government are calling this legislation to say where these tickets come from, who supplies them, who are they sold to. How does a block of 200, 300 tickets get on there and no one knows where they come from? So he's got a lot of problems. I won't worry about Billy Joe Saunders. I think he's got a lot of problems with that.
Just moving forward, moving away from Billy Joe Saunders and Eddie Hearn, I'm sure you don't want to carry on talking about that.
I want to talk about Bill.
Tyson Fury. Where do we stand with that, Frank? I've been waiting.
I don't know. We're all waiting, so I've got no idea at the moment.
Did you see the video of him walking down the street with the fans?
Yeah, but he gets that anyway. Of course he'll get it. He's a popular guy. I think he's more popular now than he was when he was fighting. So he's there, and people want to see him back in the ring. It'll be great when he's back in the ring.
And just finally, Carl Frampton and Martin Murray did their workout on Tuesday. Yeah. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend for reasons that I'll explain to you off camera. How did they look? I have seen footage, but
the trainers are happy with them, and they're all on course. Their fights are, they're both involved in big fights. You know, Martin Murray, for him, he's a tough competitor. He's been very unlucky in 2 challenges for world titles. Some people may have thought he won them, where the decision didn't go his way. This for him is a big fight. This is like a make or break fight for him, and if he loses it, then I don't think he'll get another opportunity. But you know he's a competitor, you know he can fight, and you know that he's a proud guy, and styles make fights, and I think we're going to get a real competitive fight between him and Bill. Carl Frampton's got a tough fight. You know, Daenerys no slouch. I think he's the best fighter, certainly my time in boxing, to ever go to fight in Belfast. So he's going over there. He obviously fancies his chances. Carl's on the cusp of getting a world title shot, and that's where we are.
Just finally on that with Carl Frampton, we saw a couple of weeks ago Phil LaGreco and Amir Khan press conference. What did you make of that? Do you think that's a case of trying to hype a fight? I mean, obviously you have Frampton and Daenerys on the same night. What did you make of that?
Fight for fight. It's a no-brainer. One guy's been out of the ring for 2 years, and the other guy, you know, he walks in this restaurant, no one will know who he is. Then you've got 2 world-class fighters fighting each other. That is a proper fight. Amir Khan coming out of the jungle with all that hype and all that stuff behind him. Took his fights before, the fights he had before 2 years ago, he lost both of them, didn't he? He lost 2 fights quite badly. Has he got anything left in the tank? I don't know. Is this guy going to test him? Who knows? But you can't even compare those 2 fights. There's no comparison at all. You know, Amir's getting what you would give anybody who's been out of the ring for a couple of years. He's getting pretty much an easy comeback fight. And I get that, I understand it, because I'll do the same thing. But you can't compare those fights like for like. It's just impossible.
What can fans expect tuning in this Saturday at York Hall, Frank?
I think you're going to see some good fights on there. You're going to see some of the best young talent in the country, some of our guys that we expect to go on to bigger and better things. And I think you've got a cracking fight there with Zelfa Barrett and Ronnie Clark. I think that's going to be a quality fight, and we're going to see if Zelfa is as good as I think he is.
Okay, well, Frank Warren, always a pleasure catching up with you.
And you.
Look forward to seeing you tomorrow and furthermore Saturday night at York Hall.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, Frank. Cheers.
Fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do so by clicking this icon right here, or else.